Hey folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today we are not going to talk about a book or a game per se, but I want to discuss the basic idea of how we game in quarantine. So, there's a lot of conspiracy theories running around about where the COVID virus came from, what its purpose was it a bioweapon that got loose, or did someone have carnal relations with the bat and some of the saliva from the bat got in the guy's pee-pee hole and this is where the virus came from. It's really, there's all kinds of stuff out there, I think mostly because Americans didn't have a damn other thing to do. So we just started thinking crazy thoughts. I joke that the coronavirus was designed by the people who made Zoom, plexiglass, and hand sanitizer. That's a joke. I don't actually believe that. I do want to pause for just a second, and I got to give a shout out to an old friend of mine, Stephen Dubose. In 1997, we were playing a Delta Green game with the original Delta Green supplement rules, and he was playing a CDC scientist, and he was crawling around pig shit in China because he was squarely of the opinion that if there's going to be a global devastation virus, it's going to come out of China, even back in 97. So, Steve, either you're a time traveler from the future, or you, which would explain the depression, or you are very prescient. So, good job, you. All right, so once quarantine kicked in, once lockdown started to kick in, gaming kind of ground to a halt because we couldn't get together anymore. I had just started a really interesting ETU game, and it just sort of wasn't gaining momentum anymore, or it really was stagnated for a while. So the D&D game I have played in for the past 5 years, which just wrapped up yesterday, with an actual ending and an epilogue and everything. It was amazing. So we had been doing that on Roll20. In fact, I mentioned this in the Roll20 review earlier in the list. We've been doing that on Roll20 even when we're face-to-face with each other, which I was kind of, how precious is that, when we talked about it. But honestly, I'm kind of glad we did because that worked really well. All we had to do was add a video chat. It takes away some of the experience of being in person. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it will ever completely replace in-person gaming for me, but it's really freaking useful. So that was going, and then I reformed the ETU game by using the Savage Worlds character sheets in Roll20. And honestly, that was an exercise in frustration for me. One, because I don't have the best attention to detail, and you need a lot of attention to detail on those. And two, because it was really clunky and didn't work all that particularly well. But two really magical things happened inside of that game. One is my daughter has started playing with us, and she's off at college now. So by using these online platforms, she can continue to game with us. Number two is one of my best friends on this planet who used to game with me but then can't because he lives too far away, joins us every Thursday now. And it is wonderful to have Clint back in the gaming group. So one of the things I did do, though, for Savage Worlds is I went over to Fantasy Grounds. Comparing the two, I think Roll20 is the far superior system, but Fantasy Grounds has a lot more preloaded plugins that you can use. Pinnacle Entertainment is in bed with Fantasy Grounds for their stuff, so that made running the ETU game a lot easier. I still had to put my head through the table on several occasions, and sometimes the Fantasy Grounds software did not want to cooperate with my players. One guy had to quit gaming just because his computer wouldn't work with it. Okay, so honestly, I thought these were a novelty at best the last time I talked about these, and they have become absolute godsends when it comes to gaming online. You add Zoom or some other conference call discussion sort of thing, and you got everything you need. I don't think it will ever replace in-person gaming, like I said, but I don't see moving away from this as long as it keeps my daughter Emma and my buddy Clint coming to the table. yes, the in-person part of it is nice, but having them in is better. So I've had a lot of I've had mixed experiences. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it was very much when I was working with these things. This is what I felt like putting on my monitor a lot of times using both Fantasy Grounds and Roll20. But as I mentioned in a previous episode, I'm doing a Fading Sun's Fate game now, and honestly, Roll20, it is beautiful for Fate, but you don't need a lot of tactical maps. You can draw on the screen in front of your players easily enough. It works a lot better for that game than it did Savage Worlds. So which one should you do? Find the one that's carrying the game you want. Roll20 has a veritable metric ton of different character sheets, and with those character sheets come the pre-built in rules. The only one of those character sheets I found that doesn't work is the one for Demon Hunters, A Comedy of Terrors. Roll20, honestly, it's a slicker package, and if you know what you're doing with it, it's more forgiving. And all Savage Worlds, well, not all their settings, but most of their settings are preloaded into that. Just depends on what you want to play. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. It's nice to be back. Good day and good gaming.